Minasan konnichiwa. Honorable citizens of Fukushima, honorable representatives of the Hibakusha of Hiroshima and Nagasaki today here, dear friends from Japan, dear friends from all over the world, I thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I spent 1 week in Japan. Tomorrow I'm going to travel home, and I must admit, during this last week I have learned a lot. I found in Tokyo, in Osaka, in Mitsuyama City, and also in the Fukushima region, new friends. This is nice, but I'm leaving Japan with many open questions and some very deep worries and concerns. The overarching question for me is, are people able to learn from catastrophe? Right now, my feeling is that good conclusions, strong consequences from the Fukushima disaster are taking place only far away from Japan, on the other side of the world. For example, in Europe, the nuclear industry is facing its own end because of Fukushima. Take for example, my own country, Germany. The German government decided, you can say overnight, to close, to shut down definitely 8 reactors, which means half of the nuclear fleet of Germany. And against all blackmailing of the nuclear industry, right now, 6-8 months later, Germany does not import more electricity than before closing 8 reactors. The prices for electricity are not higher than before. And Germany can, if they are consistent, they can fulfill their own climate targets. And behind this development in my country, there is not a mystery. You have, on the one hand, the phasing out decision. On the other hand, you have to accomplish this, to make it go, to make it possible. You have the phasing in process of renewables and a good efficiency strategy. In addition, and this counts a lot, the majority of German citizens is against nuclear power since Chernobyl happened on the European continent. And also, a very active anti-nuclear movement never gave up to campaign against nuclear power. The government right now is a conservative government. They decided to phase out nuclear power in contrary to what they said before. They decided in this way because they lost a very important election in the south of Germany immediately after Fukushima and because of Fukushima. So the impact, I would like to show the political impact of Fukushima in Germany, and I could quote other European countries. The political impact of Fukushima in Europe is very strong. Let's have a look on the situation in Japan. Japan is right now managing to run the very big cities, and I know meanwhile what I'm talking about. Japan is right now managing the very big cities of these countries and the very big industries with only 6 reactors working out of 54. So why the hell you should go back in Japan onto the nuclear way? I saw, for example, the Japanese opinion polls on nuclear power, and it's really impressive how the public opinion in Japan has changed. A very big majority is meanwhile against nuclear power. It's similar to the public opinion of Germany. Please, people of Japan, learn from the German experience. Your mayors in the big cities, your local politicians, your regional governors, your members of your national parliament and your Japanese government, they must learn the right consequences, the right lessons from Fukushima. If they are refusing to learn these lessons, if they are refusing the phase out of nuclear power in Japan after Fukushima, I think you should tell them that you are going to phase them out of power. My second very big question, which will follow me to Europe, concerns the citizens and the region of Fukushima. And before I start about my concerns, I would like to show my deep gratitude to the citizens of Fukushima region, of Fukushima city, of Idate, of Minamisoma. I met several of them yesterday, and they teach me a lot. I feel a very deep sorrow about the situation these citizens have to live with. And I think it's a shame that I have to come to Japan, the country of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and that I have to tell to the people here that you live now in Fukushima region, but you can say this for maybe big parts of Japan. You live in a kind of post-nuclear war situation. The cesium of the fallout of Fukushima is the equivalent of 170 Hiroshima bombs. I left yesterday Fukushima in a mood of shock. What I understood from the people of the most affected regions around the Fukushima nuclear power plant is they are all still left alone with a lot of open questions, a lot of severe doubts, and with a lot of anxiety, especially because of their children. The health care in the contaminated areas is far away from being sufficient. The evacuation decision, from my point of view, is not comprehensive and not transparent. The decontamination planning is yet not more but a theory, and from my experience with Chernobyl-affected areas in the east of Europe, it will not work. On top of all this, the victims are already suffering from discrimination Even the children of the Fukushima region are discriminated. I learned that the discrimination which the Hibakusha had to face in Japan, that this discrimination continues now towards the citizens and even the children of Fukushima. This is really a scandal. Behind all this, the Fukushima nuclear power plant. So I'm a politician, I'm not a nuclear expert, but I have some experience. So to my judgment, this Fukushima power plant is far away from being under control. Imagine another earthquake. This would result in the catastrophe of the catastrophe. I use this moment of my speech to ask the Japanese government to listen at first much more to the citizens of the Fukushima region. They need much more support and help than they get right now. I understood, because I followed the whole story of the Fukushima accident from the distance, but helped by Kyodo News and others closely, I understood that Japan faced a most difficult situation last year. And I can easily admit that I am convinced that all governments I know would have been in the same trouble and would have probably failed equally. The fault after Fukushima is not specific to Japan, but maybe the closure of the country towards real scientific expertise, how to overcome best this situation, is in a way typical for Japan. I asked the Japanese government finally to invite a kind of task force of independent experts, medical doctors, scientists, nuclear experts, people who have learned lessons from Chernobyl, for example, in Europe. I asked the government to invite not only the International Atomic Energy Agency, but independent experts. Let's go for a common learning process. Let's try all the best the world can offer to help the citizens of the Fukushima region and other affected citizens in Japan to get a better future than they can expect based on that what has been decided in Japan so far. I myself, as a politician from Europe, from the European Parliament, I can promise you today, after this week, I will do my very best to help the citizens of the Fukushima region. And as an anti-nuclear activist since 35 years, I can promise to all of you, also to the friends from all over the world, I will not be tired to campaign against the end of the nuclear story in the world. 3/11 has to change the world. Thank you.